Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Year of the Mammoth special edition of the Salty Dog Podcast.
Let's get salty!
What is up, guys? I'm Clash. He's Dookie. Welcome to episode 38 of the Salty Dog Podcast,
Ahoy there, mateys!
Which we have decided will be something that we've been planning to do for a little while now, and it just seemed like the right time. Our Year of the Mammoth special episode, where we're gonna just go back through some of the things that we talked about in the past year, as far as card reviews and other things like that, when it was the Year of the Mammoth. Just kind of send the Year of the Mammoth off with a bang.
Yep, it's going to be kind of like a little highlight reel of some of our best moments on the show from the Year of the Mammoth. Mostly when we were trying to review cards and we either got it right on the money or horribly, horribly wrong.
I'll let you guys guess which one there's more of.
Yeah. Totally.
So, yeah, it just seems like a good time for this because, I mean, we have a couple of new cards that we are going to, of course, just talk about the two new cards that are both Echo cards that they did reveal. But other than that, we're kind of just still in that waiting for the Witchwood mode. So it seems like a good time to go back through and just celebrate the Year of the Mammoth. So that's
we really wouldn't have much going on this show otherwise, because it's, oh boy, is it dead right now in the world of Hearthstone.
Pretty much. All we really have is the couple of new cards, like I mentioned. There was a pretty cool little Twitter Q&A video that Ben Brode posted recently. And one of our very frequent listeners, Dougie, sent our attention to that video. And it was actually a pretty cool video to watch. He answers some developmental insight questions and stuff, and we were gonna bring that up and talk about some of that on the show today, but instead we're just gonna really focus on all these quotes from the year that we went back and dug up of us. But definitely recommend you go check it out if you are if you're interested in that behind the scenes sort of chat.
Yeah, it was a really cool thing that he did. He basically just asked on Twitter, what questions do you have for me? And then it was a solid 12-minute video. Really high production value for just an answering questions sort of video. Because I feel like a few times in the past we've just seen Bro just kind of talking with a camera on. And it's all right, well, whatever. But it's just a really, well-made, well-edited video. And I God, for the life of me, I watched it last night and I can't remember any of the big highlights. So you should just go find it. Just go watch it.
So funny too, because I'm the exact same way. I watched it and I was like, wow, these are interesting things that he's answering. And it's just all gone. Just everything that he talked about.
It's just gone.
I really wanted to rewatch it and have time to bring some of it up, but just didn't have the time today. So
you guys will be happy with what we have planned today anyway. So just go watch the Ben Brode video on your own time.
Exactly. Other than that, this week's been pretty uneventful, just as for me, as far as Hearthstone's concerned. Laddering a little bit, finding some success with a control dragon priest without the whole inner fire shenanigans combo. It actually ends up working out really well even against control warlock, because you have the combo to with pint-sized potion and with the a shadow thing that swaps his health with minions. You can steal their minions with Cabal Shadow Priest. To where they never get to kill them on their side of the board and death rattle them, or you can steal their cubes or whatever. You got a lot of cool options in there to screw that deck over, which is what my life's all about at this point. It's
that feels better than anything right now is screwing over cube block.
Yes, I agree. Other than that, we have this Starcraft Tavern Brawl right now, which is
It's okay, but make sure you do it, because you'll get 3 packs for winning.
Yeah. I know that it's crazy to me because it's a free pack every week or whatever, but I know there are some people that just never play Tavern Brawls. This is definitely the week to do it. This kind of kicks off a whole flood of free packs coming our way, because you get 3
That's right.
for participating in this, and then starting on Monday after the card reveal live stream, which hopefully we're going to get like most of the set. I would hope so. Revealed, then they kick off this whole new thing where every time you complete a daily quest, you get a pack. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's instead of like freaking half a pack per quest, basically you're getting, and you're still getting your gold, right?
Exactly, you're getting a pack and a half.
Yeah,
so,
you're getting a pack and a half. So
Yeah.
pretty dank there. So make sure you're doing your daily quests. I just remembered a Ben Brode question.
Okay, let's get that one out.
This one, it has no impact on the game, but it was actually one of the most memorable to me. Will there be a way for people to get old card backs?
Oh yeah, I remember this one.
He said they are very much considering that. And that was surprising to hear, but also I was glad to hear it because I really want the pirate one.
Oh yeah, I mean there are definitely some that I'd like to get, but he makes a good point too that people enjoy having things that other people can't get.
Oh, I mean, you know me. That's the name of the game for me. Like, I love having shit in like MMOs and multiplayer. So I like being the guy that has the rare thing that no one else has. And it's like good. It's bragging rights. So on one hand, like there's some. I'm glad I could go back and get them. On the other hand, it better be a challenge. So not just every scrub's running around with.
And that's what he was saying is like he was calling it friction. They need to find the right amount of friction for people to get cards that are like whatever they used to call them, feats of strength in World of Warcraft, achievements that you could no longer do. So like those feat of strength card backs from like past seasons or just different things like that. They're going to make sure that they're difficult to achieve. But I think it's cool to have something to like shoot for, There's not a lot of replayability of solo missions you kind of lose that feeling of like progressing towards something after you've maxed out the levels of the different classes, after you've gotten the golden versions. There's kind of nothing other than just the grind, like to get to legend or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, and we're, oh God, the other day I had to do a quest, and it was either play druid cards or play minions that cost 8 or more mana, and I was just like, none of this sounds like something I would do. Right. And Tavern Brawl wasn't even like there yet, so I was just like, God. So I think I was so lazy, I didn't want to fuck with making a druid deck. I just went in to the pre-made druid decks. And then the Pestilence one had like all the fatties in it. And I was just like, I'm going to play this Pestilence deck on casual and mindlessly until one of these quests is done. And then when the Tavern Brawl rolled around, I was like, okay, cool. I can do this to do my quest now.
Right.
I don't see a point in laddering right now.
Yeah, it's just like when it loses interest, if you're not having fun and you're also not like just a pro competitive player trying to grind out legend points to make it to the HCT, then it's basically welcome to the Witchwood waiting room.
Exactly.
One final thing before we move on to the news section and get into the whole reviews and stuff and look at the cards, is just going back to the whole daily quests are going to reward you packs. Make sure you don't like clear out your quest log on Sunday, like the day before Monday, because if you only get one quest popping up on Monday, then you've just denied yourself 2 potential card packs. So just make sure you go into that day with 3 full quests.
Go into Monday with 3 quests.
Yeah. I mean, you can do 1 on Sunday so that you get, you always want to do 1 so you can get another one the next day. Just don't do 2 or more.
And end Sunday with 2 quests on your list.
Yeah. That's a good way.
And
to put it.
You don't need to drop. Well, I mean, you still can drop quests, but I mean, the fact that every quest is giving you a pack is like you might as well do the 40 gold ones. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, basically.
And whatever the end date of it is, you're gonna want to do all your quests by that day.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. We'll figure out when the end date is, and we'll mention that on the next show to remind you guys. But I think that basically does it for a little intro. So we're going to move over. First thing we'll do is look at the 2 new Witchwood cards, and then we'll go back through our Year of the Mammoth card reviews, and you'll just see how right we were on every single one of them.
Every time.
All right, let's check out the news.
What's happening?
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Time is money, friend. Keep it quick, kid. I ain't got all day.
All right, so up first is a common warrior spell with Echo. We haven't seen many Echo cards at all, but this is the first spell. And it's 2 mana to deal 1 damage to all minions with Echo. So basically it's 2 mana to Whirlwind, but you can, cast it over and over again, which is the Echo mechanic. As long as you have the mana, you can continue to cast this in that turn. It strikes me personally as pretty underwhelming. Like, usually a Whirlwind effect, like, 1's good, like you just need to damage the minions so you can sleep with the fishes, or you can execute, or whatever, and you usually are having to combo it with another card, because, 1 damage to all minions is pretty lackluster. So, I don't know, it just strikes me as like Whirlwind might still be the better card just because it's less mana.
Yeah. Blood Razor is still in, so that's another Whirlwind effect that you've got. The Ghoul is going to be out, so that won't be there. But it's like, I think it has the potential to do something if that archetype needs as much of that as it can get.
Right, yeah.
Like if board wipes aren't super great for Warrior when the next expansion rolls around, you might want to just when you have 8 mana, just blast everything on the board over and over again for 1. So it's got the versatility there.
It does.
But it's just a matter of if they need that effect on a third card, because with Blood Razor and Whirlwind, you've already got a lot of the Whirlwind effect. So
right. Yeah.
I feel self-conscious about rating these cards now.
I know, now that we've gone back through.
We're about to rip into each other. So I give this 2 salt shakers.
I do too. I agree with that. No, we should just give every card 3 now, right? So we could be like, well, we were pretty right.
Yeah, we were with our 2.5.
Yeah.
Like, just what? I was within 2.5 every time.
So, I agree with that. I really feel like it's kind of not that good. So I got to put in, a good definitive line so that when we're going back, like after the Warpath meta, we can go back and see how I said Warpath wasn't going to be good. So, all right, moving on. This is a really interesting, this is definitely the most interesting Echo card we've seen. It's the new Rogue Legendary Minion, which is called Face Collector. And it's a 3 mana 2/2 with Echo and Battle Cry to add a random legendary minion to your hand. So at 3 mana, you can cast this at most 3 times in a turn, and get 3 legendaries in your hand, which is pretty good. That's a lot of value. And also, since it's Echo, of course, you're not just like bouncing him back to your hand, like you're getting those 2/2s, so you are getting something on the board, even though it's not like a great minion or anything. It's a little bit of tempo, and mainly, of course, just a value card. I don't think it's like, it doesn't strike me as like incredibly powerful or anything, especially because its effect is very slow. Generally speaking, like not all legendary minions are that good, right? You've got all kinds of different things, some that only work for certain classes and some that are just straight up bad, like Lorewalker Cho and stuff. But generally speaking, I think you're getting just like decently statted bodies. So I don't know.
It's like definitely a value packed card. It's going to kind of depend on the meta, but the fact that it's rogue is what makes it like potentially good, because like you said, you can bounce this back and then do it again for free. I don't know if the echoes will be free at that point. I'm assuming not, because that would be really messed up.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think this just kind of complements a deck that has an alternative win condition. This is not a win condition, basically, because it's too high variance. But if a deck is already running, like, especially a card like Shadow Step, for whatever reason, you know, if it's in there to, like, try to hit Shadow Steps on, like, better minions like Vilespine Slayers and, you know, Leroy Jenkins, like we've seen in the past, you might as well throw this in there because it's just something else that synergizes with a card like Shadow Step. You know, if you've just got a turn where you can just blow 9 mana playing this thing and then Shadow Step him and then do it again the next turn.
You've got.
I mean, that's
humongous hand.
Value.
You just resources and resources. So yeah, I'd probably say like 3 Salt Shakers. It's gonna need the archetype support.
Yeah. I agree.
To be playable.
Yeah,
so.
If the only game in town is like a heavy tempo rogue, like the Keleseth Bone Mare rogues of old, then this has no place in it, really. But if it's something more like a miracle type thing or like a little combo-y, then yeah, this is good just to give you a little bit more value. So yeah, I agree. I'll also go with 3.
Probably the most interesting Echo card we've seen, though.
Definitely. I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely not Arya Stark, but I like that it's I like the just the flavor of it or whatever. It's like this weird, it almost looks like an ooze, like an acidic swamp ooze, and it's just like putting people's faces on.
Yeah, he's like a moss elemental kind of thing. It definitely seems like a Game of Thrones reference with the many faces there.
It does, yeah. Cool. It's also, like, it's pretty rare that we get a legendary that's not some kind of named thing. You know, like Velen or, you know...
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, this is just, like, Face Collector. I guess that's his name, that's his title.
Yeah, like Boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. Those are the new cards. So, yeah. Echo.
Now let's look at the old cards and how, wait.
One more thing to mention that I did read about, just like a tidbit about Witchwood, is that they've revealed all the odd/even synergy cards that there are in the set. That's it. Everything that we've seen is done. So not even every class gets additional support for it. Yeah, it's strange, but you know how we were saying is like either they were going to kind of like undershoot, like you know, just let those 2 legendaries stand on their own, kind of like in a Reno way. Remember how I mentioned that? I was like, that's what I expected. Or they were going to go like, you know, heavy into the odd even thing. It's going to be more like the Reno thing. I don't know how they decided they wanted to print support for just a couple of the classes and like only for, you know, either the odd or for the even mechanic.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it had something to do with, you know, some kind of internal testing that they did, and maybe they really want odd druid to work, and it just wasn't, so they gave him a 4/8, you know, taunt. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess that must be it because Gen Greymane and then the odd one, I can't remember what it's called.
Baku the Moon Eater.
Baku, yes. Gen and Baku. I guess that's kind of like for odd even decks, that's the auto include. And then maybe, like you said, the classes that got a good odd even card weren't good enough just being odd even with that bonus hero power modification. So then they threw in, you know, a couple here and there. So it's surprising. I would have either thought it was going to be just the 2 or a whole bunch, not like just this weird little handful. Yeah. So, but you know, that's really okay because I feel like it should be a very specific build when you're doing this odd even thing, and it shouldn't be forced. Like I was saying last show, it shouldn't be something that Blizzard's force feeding on you. Like, you better make odd even decks now, or you're not going to be competitive. Yeah, so
I agree. I wasn't sad to hear about it. I was shocked. I was shocked, but not sad. So. But anyway, that's about it for Witchwood. So we're gonna take a step back in time now. Basically, the way that we're gonna do this is we've gone back through, listened to our old shows where we were reviewing cards from 2017 expansions, so Ungoro, Knights of the Frozen Throne, and Kobolds and Catacombs, and we just picked out, you know, the ones where we were really spot on or ones where we were way off, and we just said hilarious things. I mean, we were reading through some of the stuff, and it's bad. Some of it's pretty bad. So we're gonna have a blast here. I'll start us off. We're gonna just go in order. So we're starting off with Ungoro. And the first one that I found looking back was a review that Dookie gave to Primal Fin Outlook, which is a 3-mana, 3/2 Murloc that if you control a Murloc, you discover another Murloc and put it in your hand. Dookie gave that 4 out of 5 stars, 4 out of 5 salt shakers. And he said, quote, "I kind of see this as a little baby Draconid operative." But, however, you did follow that up with, "This might just be wishful thinking." And it was.
It was. No, I don't know. I'm still surprised that that card doesn't get run. But I guess Murloc is just not interested in value. Yeah. It's just tempo aggro, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, Primal Fin Outlook doesn't even really get drafted in Arena. Definitely not.
That's like a 2, maybe 1 star card right
I think
there.
Like a 1, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The next one, this this was your review of Golakka Crawler.
No.
You gave it 3 stars, which I think that's fair.
That was not the bad part.
It's what you said was, "I think this buffs pirate decks more so than it hurts them. If this card sees play, it's probably to buff pirates."
So, wait, all right. So in my defense, what I was thinking is that you could just like eat your patches and have like a totem golem on turn 2. But
sure,
it's dumb. It was dumb.
I don't know if I agreed with you. I think I saw it happening on both ends, and it did. Pirate decks ran it. It sometimes
they did, but it was because pirates were so rampant they were eating the other pirates. But no, you actually you stuck to your guns and kept saying you think you could see it as one of in control decks, which is exactly what it was used for. So you got that. Yeah, you nailed it.
1 point for me. Who's keeping score?
So, moving on, I'll start with this one. Some of them is just like one or the other of us said something hilarious, and some of them we both chimed in and we were both hilarious. So this is one of those. This was the review of the Marsh Queen, the Hunter quest. Both of us gave it 4 stars. And Dookie said, "I would have given it a 5, but I just know the struggle of not getting what you need."
And then you said, "I think this is going to be a meta deck. Definitely."
So that didn't really pan out that well.
No, that one didn't happen. The next one, this one's good.
Yeah.
Unite the Murlocs, the Shaman quest from Ungoro. So I gave it 4 stars. This does not see play. I gave it 4 stars. You gave it 5. You said
I gave Unite the Murlocs 5 stars.
You said, "I want to try to predict a meta deck here. Basically, the reason is I think you can reliably trigger this quest by adding only 9 cards. The Finja package, 2 Call in the Finishers, and 1 more Murloc card. This comes to you naturally just throughout the course of your deck and gives you an explosive reload."
Now, that was all very, very wrong. However, you chimed in with me, though. At 4 stars, you still thought it was going to be pretty good. And you said, "This card is absolutely going to be good, without a doubt."
Without a doubt. No doubt in my mind.
Card doesn't even see play in Wild, where all the Murlocs are available.
It's pretty sad.
That was a big whiff.
I can't believe the next one.
Oh, yeah, this one's great. So, speaking of whiffing on, so the last ones were ones where we said they were going to be good and they were terrible. Now we're going to come at it from the other angle. And it was Spikeridge Steed. Dookie gave this card 2 stars. I gave it 1. And this is what Dookie had to say about Spikeridge Steed. "I don't know what this is for exactly. It's not very good."
It's not very good. You said it has limited matchups and it's really clunky. Like, you wouldn't put this in a quest deck trying to get Galvadon. I don't think this is good enough to see play.
Of course you wouldn't put it in a quest deck trying to get Galvadon because you don't play Galvadon.
You try to get Galvadon.
Spike Root Seed, obviously, it's a good card. I mean, it doesn't get played in a lot of the Paladin decks we're seeing right now. Oh, it does. It gets played in every Paladin deck.
Yeah, you can't not play that card. It's too good not to play. Yeah. 5 stars. Retroactively.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Yeah, I don't know how we whiffed on that one.
I don't know.
Like,
I didn't get this part. I didn't type it out, but I actually compared it to Power Word Tentacles.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's an ass ton of hell. It could not even death rattle for the 2/6 and it would still be like okay.
Right.
Sometimes I forget the 2/6 is gonna pop out when I play Spike Ridge Steed, and I'm like, they're gonna kill my taunt, and then it's like another taunt. I'm like, oh yeah, this card's amazing.
All right, so you want to take the next one?
Well, sure, yeah, I'll read what you said about the next one.
Yeah.
So for Caverns Below, the rogue quest that got nerfed because it was so powerful, I gave it 4. You gave it 2.
This was one of the worst for me.
You said, I think it's too hard. I think you have to commit too many resources in the deck just to try this. And more than that, I just don't think this effect is all that good.
Like, I took it a step further. I wasn't like, it's just too hard to complete, but it would be good. I was like, no, it's not even good.
Everything being a 5/5 is not good.
I clearly was not thinking about Stone Tusk Boar, bounce, Stone Tusk Boar, bounce, Stone Tusk Boar, death. But you, however, you gave it 4 stars. And I think, like, you might have even given it 5 if you weren't, like, kind of taking my opinion into account, because you really did nail it with this. Dookie said, I just know to never underestimate the shenanigans that Rogue is going to try to pull. Wait, I gotta say, this is like the most epic run-on sentence of all time. So, I just don't know. I just know to never underestimate the shenanigans that Rogue is going to try to pull off, and they're going to find a way to get their duplicates super easy, and they're going to drop 0 mana minions all in one turn, and they're all going to be 5/5s, and they're going to drop Stone Tusk Boars that are 5/5 charges for 1 mana, and I just feel like Rogue is going to pull some bullshit with this, and it's going to be stupid. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong.
Fucking nailed that one.
You really did. Like, the 0 mana minions is the only thing that they didn't run, but you were totally right about, like, the boars and, like, you called it. You called it.
Nailed that one.
But in my defense, I nailed the next one. So
you did. So for Shadow Visions, you gave it 5 stars. You said priest spells are always so situational. You need those cards exactly at the right time or moment, or you're just dead. It also opens up some interesting burst damage from hand options, like running Mind Blast. And if you could find a way to work him in with Velen, and get 10 burst, because priest is notoriously bad at being able to close out the game.
So every priest deck that has come since Shadow Visions was a thing, except for the Spiteful Summoner priest that came later, has run Shadow Visions. You've got the Razakis decks that did that exact thing and used Velen, Shadow Visions, and Mind Blast. I mean, Shadow Visions didn't always pull Mind Blast, but you know, it was to find their situational cards, the deaths, the pains, and exactly what I said. And then the one of the biggest priest archetypes right now is enabled by Shadow Visions, which is Big Priest. If you couldn't get extra copies of Shadow Essence or the Spellstone or the Eternal Servitude, that deck wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember what I said about Shadow Visions. I don't think I thought it was that good, because I was like, look at Primordial Glyph. You don't even get a discount. It's just like, well, get one of your spells. Why wouldn't it be better to just draw the spell? That was my logic.
Mm-hmm.
So
you did say that, but then like the reason I didn't put anything that you said in is because you started off with that, and then you like listened to what I said, and you were like, oh, I can see that. I didn't think of it that way. So
yeah, because you know priest. So
yeah.
Last Kaleidosaur. You want to take this one?
Yes. Okay. So we pretty much whiffed on like every quest. It's funny how, looking back, it seems like the legendaries end up being the hardest cards to actually nail down as far as what's going to be strong. So the last Kaleidosaur, Dookie gave this a 4 and I gave it a 3. I still thought it was going to be good too, but just not quite as good as Dookie, who said, I like it. I think it has the chance to just totally roll your opponent.
Yep.
It would.
It has no chance. It would if you could get it.
If you could get it and if minions lived in Hearthstone.
This is how bad trying to make a deck around Buff Paladin is. I've tried it with Kaleidosaur and I've tried it with Linessa. And whenever I make a deck that can win, like a Buff Paladin deck that uses those cards that can win, I always win without Galvadon or without Linessa. So it's just not worth the investment.
Right. Linessa is just the better card, like to promote using Paladin buffs, you know?
Oh, yeah. Linessa
just doesn't get there.
Yeah, especially now, Linessa really can. It's possible for Linessa to go off, and she comes out as a 7/11. Oh, thank heaven! Divine Shield, draw 2 cards, Death Rattle, summon 2/6, Spike Ridge thing. But yeah, let's finish out Ungoro reviews with a legendary quote from Clash. He said, "If the mage legendary quest isn't elemental synergy, I'll eat my hat." So I already make good on that one.
I already ate the hat. I ate the hat before the show started. No, it was so funny too. Like the context of that, we were rating the Pyros card, and we were talking about how sure we both were that Elemental Mage was going to be a deck. Which, spoiler alert, that didn't happen either. Not even the Frostlich Jaina mage decks are Elemental Mage decks. We were saying, Pyros is going to be great for elemental synergy, and we were just taking it as a given that the quest was going to be play elementals. It's like, and you're going to be able to get, progress towards the quest, because if the mage quest isn't elemental synergy, I'll eat my hat.
Nope, Exodia.
Exodia Mage was born instead. All right, so that was pretty much all the highlights from Ungoro. Pretty much definitely just whiffed on all of the quests, and quests as a whole just flopped, which was kind of sad.
They really did. I mean, what Rogue obviously saw play,
and then got nerfed to the point where that doesn't see play anymore.
Priest, like every now and then you'd see that.
Every now and then, but it can't. It has no win condition.
Warlock
was can't do it.
Fucking crap.
Yeah,
it was bad. Druid never took off. The whole 5 attack thing never took off.
We were just excited, okay, about quests, about a new card type.
New thing. So up next are our spectacular card reviews from Frozen Throne.
So this was a few months later. We learned a lot. We refined our card reviewing abilities.
Yes.
We nailed it in Frozen Throne.
We became much, much wiser in Frozen Throne. With reviews such as your review of Prince Keliseth. It can't go in an aggro deck. It probably isn't going to see play in any decks.
Clash 2017. That you kind of I don't know if it came through because I don't know, something happened with your mic there, but the first part of that is it can't go in any aggro deck. I just want to make sure everyone hears that.
It can't go in any aggro deck. It probably isn't going to see play in any decks.
So yeah, but
and then
what did Dookie say? Two salt shakers.
Oh boy.
Basically, like I remember the headspace where we were at is basically like, how can you have an aggro deck with no 2-drops? Like, what are you thinking? Yeah. But hey, what do we know, huh?
What do we know? We just have a podcast about this game. What do we know?
Moving on, though, before anyone thinks about that one for too long. Prince Taldaram, the princes, man, they just threw us for a total loop here. But, Dookie, you were actually onto something when you said this. I don't know what you gave it as far as a star or salt shaker rating. We kind of were dropping off. We were only doing it on some of these.
We stopped kind of doing that, yeah.
But for Prince Taldaram, you said a puzzle piece for fuckery. And boy, is it ever when it comes out and it copies those cubes or those Doom Guards and stuff in Cube Lock. Definitely. You nailed that one.
Yeah, that's all it really could be.
Yep. I can just take the next couple because you did these. The next one was Hadronox. This is another one that you nailed. This is bad. This needs taunt. Hadronox, of course, the 3/7 that resurrects all your taunts for Druid. That's never...
Which is 9 mana.
Yeah, it's like a 9 mana N'Zoth that happens later, if at all. So
yeah, that just never sees play.
Yep, you're right. It needed taunt.
It needs taunt.
Yep.
Dollars. This is my big shining moment here for Frozen Throne is this next review.
So for the next one, which was about Frostlich Jaina, this requires just a little bit of context because this card was like data mined from like a Chinese or like a Russian website or something at the time before it was officially revealed, and there was like a huge like swath of people who thought that it wasn't real. And we were like going back and forth about this, and Dookie said, I think it's fake. Mage is the last class I'd expect to get lifesteal. It's a poorly designed card. and then
you said, I want to believe it's fake.
Turns out I actually love the card.
Yeah.
Like a year later. But, and then just closing out the Frostlich Jaina review, Dookie said, this might not be bad depending on what the hero power does. Because we did not know what it was at the time because of the bad, the like low quality reveal of it. And it's not a bad card. I mean, it doesn't see play right now because of basically shenanigans. I mean, I think a control mage with Frostlich Jaina did make it to legend recently, but it's kind of a struggle right now. But I think the card has a ton of potential. So,
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. It's an insanely good card. I mean, there's so much value packed into Frostlich Jaina. It really all it depends on is the meta, and that thing can be just so powerful.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I thought it was a poorly designed card.
Oh, man.
So, Leeching Poison, which I stand by our assessment that is a bad card. Mm-hmm. The only reason that it's playable is because of Kingsbane.
Which was not a thing at the time.
Which was not a thing.
We were okay on this.
So we were right. And you said this is just a garbage card. I mean, I agree.
And you said you're just blowing all these cards on your dagger.
Because no, Rogue doesn't run any weapons aside. Like, no, they really don't. Aside from just using their dagger. And why are you going to Leeching Poison this 1/2 and maybe gain 2 health? And that was the state of things. But now Kingsbane's a thing. So retroactively, we were wrong.
Retroactively, yeah, but this is that reason why we probably say it too much when we're going through card reviews and stuff, which you're probably going to be hearing next week after the card dump. But it's like these cards mean something different in a vacuum than they do with cards that are revealed later or like synergies you didn't think of. So that's basically exactly what happened with Leeching Poison. The card that enabled this card to be good was not even created yet.
That's a cool example of just how the meta can change when one card shows up, Mm-hmm.
And that card is still like, it is a key piece of the Kingsbane Rogue deck because that deck would not live without the lifesteal on that weapon.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So moving on to the next one, here's a good example of cards that seem powerful in and of themselves in a vacuum and then end up not being because of other considerations. Voodoo Hexer, the 5-mana 2/7 taunt shaman card that freezes stuff. 11 Salt Shakers, Dookie.
Yeah.
You were so scared of this card.
I was, and honestly, this could still show up in a shaman. It all depends on the meta, because if there was like some control shaman deck that could reasonably survive in the meta and run this Voodoo Hexer is an insane aggro hate card. I mean, You do not want to run into this thing. You attack it with face, your face freezes. Anything that survives attacking it freezes. It's awful. But there's no shaman deck that benefits. There's really no shaman deck.
Right.
But like, Voodoo Hexer could show up in a deck. Like Ali Armorsmith shows up in decks. every now and then. So this is like kind of the same thing.
Yep.
So anyway, no, I was scared of it.
I agree. Okay, here's another one. Here's another choice Dookie quote here for the card Bring It On, which is 2 mana to gain 10 armor and discount your opponent's hand. Dookie said, 2 mana, do nothing. Do something good for your opponent. Next card.
And this doesn't see play.
It does very, very sporadically in that like super outlast warrior deck.
Yeah, and I could see it. Someone actually, God, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Nepeta, but I don't want to misquote somebody here. But they brought up the point that it could be a kind of a trap to get you to overextend because your hand is discounted, and then have you overextend into a brawl. Right. And then you're screwed.
Yeah, basically the deck just tries to grind you out of resources before it even uses it. You know, it's just like your hand's empty and then they just gain 10 armor or whatever, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if Control Warrior, like a strong, like fatigue-based Control Warrior comes back around, which is what, you know, everybody's kind of starting to predict because of Baku, then Bring It On's probably going to be in that deck, just because they need the health.
Yeah, for sure.
But we shall see. You want to take this next one?
Yeah. So Cobalt Scalebane, which is a great card in the current meta, shows up in a lot of tempo decks. You said this is amazingly resilient against most board wipes in the game and gives you a great board. And you nailed that one. Cobalt Scalebane is a great card. You want to tell them what I said about it?
So what Dookie said about Cobalt Scalebane is, this card has a very high chance of doing jack shit. So,
because I was like, what's the point of giving something attack when your turn is over? You can't even use it because it's probably just gonna die. I have such removal PTSD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what I wasn't considering there was obviously an on-curve Cobalt Scalebane is a threat to anybody. Mm-hmm. And then it turns whatever is next to it into a threat. So instead of your opponent having to be like, oh, well, I'll just get rid of the Cobalt Scalebane and the other thing's garbage, they're like, oh shit, both of these are a problem now. So they have to get rid of 2 problems. So you were right on the money with that one.
Yeah, hey, every once in a while we've been going back and forth. I think our score is pretty even here. I don't know if anyone is keeping track, but I'd say we're pretty even.
Yeah.
But, this next one is a good little one from you. Doomed Apprentice, the 3 mana 3/2 that does the reverse of Sorcerer's Apprentice and makes your opponent's spells cost 1 more. Dookie said about Doomed Apprentice, like a little baby Lotheb, equally as good as Sorcerer's Apprentice.
No. And I went back and I listened to my reasoning and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, you idiot?
You must have been drunk.
What it was like, even though it's 1 more mana than Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's also making your opponent's stuff cost 1 more mana.
Uh-huh.
So it has a use right away, whereas with Sorcerer's Apprentice, you might not be able to use it right away. But I was wrong. So Simulacrum, that card was another point for you, because I was basically like, what is this even for? And you were like, I think this is an Exodia Mage tool. Yeah, and that's what it is. You want to copy that Sorcerer's Apprentice.
That is it. That is all it's for, is just to basically go alongside your Molten Reflections and try to get your turn where you just get free fireballs. That's it.
Yep. You nailed that one.
You did not nail this next one. Unfortunately, but I gotta say that I was right there with you. We were both gushing over this card.
I convinced you on this one.
Yeah, no, I really want this card to do something, and I've tried to use it several times. It's Gnome Feratu, the 2 mana 2/3 that discards a random card from your opponent's deck, which I thought was just going to totally screw over Highlander decks. But what Dookie said about this is every Warlock should run this. Every Warlock should run this.
I was like, you have no reason not to run. I went on a huge 5-minute rant about why this card is so amazing. I was like, it gives you intel You could snipe. You could high roll and snipe something from your opponent's deck. Like I just went on and on about it, and I stand by that. It's not known for Atu's time.
It's not known. Maybe it will be its time. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it'll be really good against the odd even decks for some reason or something. I don't know.
She'll find her place in the Witchwood.
Oh, here's another one where I whiffed.
Oh yeah. Valera the Hollow. You said I'm scared of this card, honestly. And this is probably the only Death Knight that literally never sees play.
I gushed about Valera the Hollow and said that I thought it was probably going to be the best Death Knight. And
well, I whiff on the next one.
You do. So just this one ties together. We can have this whole Death Knight discussion after. Dookie said about Thrall Deathseer, it's a toss-up between this and Valera for which one I think is going to be the best one. Literally the two worst Death Knights.
I mean, that's when Evolve was happening. Deathseer, it was like he got like a week of like good Evolve Shaman play, but then that was kind of it.
Thrall is honestly probably still better than Garrosh. I mean, at least right now, just because Warriors don't get played at all anyway. But I was so convinced that the card advantage that you were going to get from like playing duplicates of Valera's cards, I was just like, oh my god, Rogue can just so capitalize on this, and like the miracle turns are going to be crazy, and I don't know, like it's still honestly is kind of mind-blowing to me that it doesn't get played. It does get played in Kingsbane, that's it, but
this is one that I think could still show up. Like, I mean, it's such a good miracle rogue tool. It's just not fitting anywhere into any decks in the meta right now. But I feel like Valera the Hollow could actually show up at some point. And then we're going to go back and we're going to do a review of what we're saying on this show and see how wrong we are again.
It never ends. It's just Inception review. We're just going to keep going back through. But yeah, the Death Knights overall, like, we definitely were wrong about which ones were gonna be good, but at least they panned out better than the quests where they actually get used. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, most of them see play in some way or another.
And I'm really hoping that Gen Greymane enables some Shadow Reaper Anduin fun, again, because that deck just got too oppressive to the point where it was just annoying to play or to play against, but I still like Shadow Reaper Anduin and using my hero power a lot, so I kind of hope that gets to be used again.
Yeah.
Just not in a less, like, fuckery, like, oppressive way.
Yeah. But I want Oether to be good for reasons other than Exodia-ing. I want him to just be good.
Yeah, you don't want to OTK with him. You just want to use the value of getting two twos in a weapon. Yeah,
and the lifesteal and shit. Yeah. So moving on to Kobolds and Catacombs.
Yep, that was it for Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Yep. So Drygold's Jailer, which is a card that we are seeing in Dude Paladin.
Surely by now we're gonna nail every card.
Yeah, at this point we've got to know. You said I'm not a big fan of this. The only pops into my head right away is hand buff.
And you said about Drygold's Jailer, which was probably more on point, but still ended up being wrong in the long run, was you can't even run Keleseth.
So I already backpedaled on my Keleseth thing,
It was just so inconceivable at the moment to like think of an aggro deck that didn't run Keleseth, because that's all we were seeing at the time. It's kind of cool to go back and like remember like what was happening in the meta.
Yeah, so when we saw Keleseth, we were like, no aggro deck can run this. You need the 2-drops. And then once it started happening, we were like, no aggro deck can afford not to run Keleseth.
Just goes to show you that you gotta try to have some foresight.
Here's a good one. Rin the First Disciple. This is a long one.
Boy. Okay.
Clash said, this card has so many problems. I really don't think this is good. This is that good. Realistically, when you finish this, surviving by the skin of your teeth because you're trying to do this incredibly low value combo thing, how many cards are you actually even destroying of your opponent's deck? Like, what turn is it when you get to play this, like, turn 16? At best, I could see you destroying, like, 10 of your opponent's cards with this. I mean, that's a lot, but that's also kind of an optimistic amount of cards. In general, I see what they're going for, but I just don't think this is worth it at all.
I did not believe in the Rin condition back in the day. You started off agreeing with me, but then you actually turned it around and kind of predicted what it is actually used for. You said you said it's what, 35 mana to do this thing? Rin herself is not terrible, but those seals are just so under curve. But then you kind of backpedaled later on in the discussion, because we talked about this card a while, and you said, maybe we shouldn't be looking at the end result, which is Azari the Devourer, but maybe we should just be looking at the fact that an okay taunt comes out and then gives you a card that you can play if you have nothing else to do over and over again, and maybe it's enough. You weren't spot on with that, because Azari actually does give you a win condition. It's just, and it doesn't even matter if you only destroy 4. I was thinking about it wrong. It doesn't matter if you only destroy 4 of your opponent's cards, or however many it is. It's just like you cut off their resources.
Yeah, that's
it's just, and their fatigue. It's crazy. I definitely was wrong on that one. You had a little bit more faith.
Yeah. So this one, Twig of the World Tree, you said, this is a crazy combo enabler. The tempo swings are going to be huge, and it's going to be sad. I really think there's going to be a dominant meta deck with this.
Hey! This is another one, along with Valera, that I'm kind of surprised isn't a thing, and I could definitely still see becoming a thing. Like, some kind of combo deck with Twig of the World Tree could still pop up at some point.
Sure, yeah.
But I was definitely wrong up to this point with it.
I think the potential is still there. You know, it's all meta environment, you know, card selection, that whole thing.
Now, about this next card, which is also a legendary weapon, we did have a longer conversation about this, but this is the first thing that we said about this card, because we were both just so, like, floored by it. It's Alaneth, which is the mage legendary weapon, 6 mana, draw 3 extra cards every turn at the end of your turn. You started off, and you said, it's pretty whack, and I said, definitely.
Definitely. I don't remember what I actually thought of Alaneth from the... I think I was kind of on the fence about it, but it is pretty whack.
Yeah, it's pretty whack. No, we were both like, it'll be really good if there's a burn mage deck that can throw out all their cards every turn and not overdraw. And that's basically what we both said, and there definitely is, so... So
it's pretty whack. Next up, we have Spiteful Summoner, your review of Spiteful Summoner.
This is the one I nailed in Cobalt's.
You said, I think it's super interesting because in a weird way, it's like bone marrow for decks that rely on spells. You get a huge boost in stats on board if you're invested in heavy spells in the late game. I can see this making its way into some version of Priest. It'd be weird for Priest to be rolling out with Shadow Word Pains and stuff like that, but if you could make a Priest deck that only had cards like...
Free from Amber and
crazy high-end value spells like that, this could be a crazy card. Yeah, Spiteful's definitely showing up in Priest.
We have Spiteful Priests.
Among other classes. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that one.
Yeah, I don't think you had really too much to say about this one. You were just kind of like, yeah, I can see that. So I didn't really what you had said there. But you did have a lot to say about Hoarding Dragon, though.
Yeah.
We were having this whole discussion about Hoarding Dragon, about how it was so terrible to, like, concede some, some late game tempo by giving your opponent 2 coins and letting them get back out ahead of you. And the whole time you thought it was a battle cry, like that he battle cried to give the coins. And so you said, for some reason, I wasn't registering that was a death rattle. That makes him a lot better. I feel like there's a small chance that it could get abused, probably by Priest.
Yeah. Just because it was a dragon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still feel like it's a pretty solid tempo card, but you're looking at Arena really for Hoarding Dragon. You know, there are better options for Constructed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So that was I just thought that was so funny because our whole discussion on Hoarding Dragon was just hilarious.
Yeah. We don't know what we're talking about. So here's where it gets really good.
Yeah, the whole rest of it, like, hold on to your butts for the last few of these, because every highlight is gone at this point. Everything we got right, so...
All right, so Elven Minstrel. You said, I don't know how much I like this card. Maybe this makes its way into some sort of Miracle Rogue deck, but their card draw engine is Gadgets and Auctioneer, and I don't see that going anywhere.
And Dookie, about Elven Minstrel, you said, it's basically like if this gets played at some archetype that's not around right now.
Like Tempo Rogue. Totally was not a thing.
Yeah, so that was pretty lulzy there.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
That's like every rogue.
Sick of hearing that. All right, so Void Lord.
Some of you might remember what we were saying about the Warlock cards. Rin should have been in this section too, but
yeah.
This go ahead, take it away.
So you said, like a lot of cards in this set, it's weak to silence and transform. It's a little on the high end for a 3/9 taunt. It's like, don't you want your taunt minions early to stave off aggro?
You do. Dookie said about Void Lord, he doesn't swing the board in enough of a direction to justify his mana cost. And later on, in the same conversation, just to underscore that, you said, I feel like Sagoth the Slitherer is better.
Goodbye, credibility. It was nice knowing you.
So again, this is a perfect... Yeah. I want to just talk about Void Lord for a little bit. I stand by what I said about it. I do think that in a vacuum, that card is not great, because aggro has silence and ways to kill you before you can play that. Oh my god, my camera is like totally messed up. But what we weren't considering is how easy it was going to be to cheat it out with the next two cards, which we were just not putting two and two together. So go ahead.
No, we were not putting like 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 together.
Right.
Like it was all right in front of us.
Yeah.
So Skull of the Minari, you said 5 mana, do nothing. I think the only good demon to hit with this is the Doomguard. It's probably just going to get Harrison and give your opponent 3 cards.
I was so sure that weapon destruction was going to be rampant in this set. Like, I just thought, because of the Valinir and like other weapons that we rated higher than than they actually ended up being, we're just going to need to be countered constantly. I was thinking there was going to be oozes and Harrisons everywhere, just like coming out of all the cracks.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this isn't going to do anything well.
The weapons just weren't good enough.
Oh boy. And so the last card.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it away.
Finishing it off with Cabal Lackey. the notorious Q block enabler Cabal Lackey. You said this is bad. This is just straight up a bad card. And then I said, yeah, unless the only demons in your deck are big bad mofos. And then you finished the discussion saying, this is just awful. Nobody's going to use this.
Nobody, guys.
Nobody's going to use this.
He's going to use
straight up bad card.
Cabal Lackey. So, yeah, there goes my credibility, so.
Oh, man.
Why did we do this? Why did we do this to ourselves?
We got to be more careful.
So, things happen.
Yep.
Things happen.
Shit happens.
Obviously, Q Block abusing the fuck out of Rin, Voidlord, Skull of the Minari, and Cabal Lackey.
Bloodgraver, Gul'dan, Nazah. It's just, there's so much. The pact thing, yeah, it's just, there's so many pieces to this deck right now, and they all just synergize with each other on such a ridiculous level.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before. I know I've told you about it, but I don't know if I mentioned it on the show. I have one minor change to one card in Q Block that I think just like brings the power level down to a reasonable level. Dark Pact. Change the text to destroy a friendly demon.
Yeah.
Destroy a friendly demon, because it should be that anyway, because the other pact card, Sacrificial Pact, can only target demons. So why is Dark Pact anything? Like, then you take away their ability to sacrifice the cubes before you can respond. You take away their ability to sacrifice the Cabal Lackeys and get their Doom Guards out on demand. Like, it just gives you a little bit more, like, control over when things are going to happen. It's like a minor change that I think would fix a lot of this. But it doesn't take away the fact that we just did not see the pieces of this deck coming together.
We sure didn't.
We actually, I should have put it on here, we actually gave Cube a really good rating. We were right about that. We were like, Cube's going to be awesome. I mean, you know, any decent Death Rattle minions are just amazing with Cube.
But I don't remember what we said about that, but yeah. But that's good that we were on to the Cube. Yeah, we were on to the Cube.
Everything else, not so much. But, yeah. So.
Possessed. I wrote Cabal Lackey.
Possessed Lackey. Sorry,
it's Possessed Lackey we're talking about.
We have been meaning to talk about it. Cabal Lackey is
the mage card.
Yeah, we meant Possessed. Yeah, the demon. You know the one.
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
They'll serve me now. Oh god, I never want to hear it again.
That little shit. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be until this time in 2019 that we can say goodbye to standard Possessed Lackey.
We'll be nice and old by then.
Yeah. So that was our walk through the Year of the Mammoth with the Salty Dog podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did, kind of.
Yeah, it's fun looking back and laughing at ourselves.
Yeah. You know, I think that I feel like I did learn from this. Like, I think this was a good exercise, like, moving forward, especially with some new card reviews right around the corner. Maybe we can turn this ship around.
Turn this ship around. I like that. I like the nautical reference there.
So, that's basically everything that we had for our little, like, roundup of our past reviews. So I think it's about time to move on to our card challenge.
That's right.
I think so.
Yeah, let's do it. So it was your prompt.
It was my prompt, and just a quick run through of what our card challenge is every show we give you guys a prompt. And it is a prompt to create your own Hearthstone card. And it might be, something like design a minion with a specific ability or at a specific mana cost or that synergizes with a certain archetype or something like that. The rules are simple. Submit it to us as a PNG. The best place to do that is hearthcards.net. If you want to get in and try to see if we can get you your card on the show. We picked the top 6. So it is, a little bit of a competition. We do read each and every card, and it's, not to say that if your card doesn't make it, it wasn't good. It's just, we look for a lot of specific things like balance and simplicity, because those are like kind of Hearthstone's hallmarks, right? It needs to feel like a card that fits into the game. Try not to make them too wordy, and one card can only spawn 2 additional cards, like, we've seen cards that do more. Obviously, Rin spawns like a bazillion cards.
Sure.
But, just for simplicity's sake, most Hearthstone cards do not function that way. And that pretty much does it. So last week, I challenged you guys to make an odd or even cost card that supports, the archetype that you think would be good for that class, or just for those archetypes in general. So it's kind of interesting that we'll be doing this now that we know that there are no more coming. But let's take a look at what they could have done with this mechanic.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate test.
All right, up first from Wadifer, we have One-Eyed Shield Dragon, which I'm pretty sure is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. But I really like this ability. It's neutral, so you can put this in any odd cost deck. It's a 5-mana 3/5 dragon with Taunt and Battle Cry. If you only have odd cost cards in your deck, give all other friendly minions Taunt. So obviously odd cost decks are the ones that are tending towards the control side of things. Whereas again, Greymane's going to be the aggressive side, the even cost decks. So I really like this. I don't think it's overpowered because, it's very board situational. Like how many minions you even have on board that you're hitting with this. And it promotes your goal, which is to like continue to survive and outvalue your opponent. So.
Yeah, I think it might actually be slightly underpowered because you're not actually increasing the stat presence of your board. And in a control deck, you probably don't have a very big board anyway.
Right.
And considering he has the odd cost stipulation, I think he would need to come out as like a, I don't know, 5/5 or something like pretty solid, so that either that or give the minions like, I don't know, +1/+1 or something.
Like a big daddy version of Defender of Argus or something.
Yeah, like a big old Defender of Argus.
Yeah, maybe like the same text
like,
and then +1/+1 on talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I get the Paladin new mallet thing, unidentified maul, and it gets the give everything taunt ability, I'm just like,
yeah. Well, that's
really,
terrible for aggro, but
yeah,
this is to like stave aggro off. So in that sense, it is good. But yeah, I agree with that. Maybe a little stat boostage would be nice. All right. Up next from Mana X. I liked the idea of this card because it almost like pits odd and even decks as like enemies of each other. It's called Deadly Challenger. It's a 7-mana 7/7 with Battle Cry. If your deck only contains odd cost cards, destroy an even cost minion. So yeah, it's just like the two decks, like Baku and Gen, are like enemies, and they like counter each other. So
yeah, I mean, if you pull this off, see, this is what I like about a card like this. Like, if you pull this off, you know, you could just be playing another odd cost deck and you have no targets.
Yeah.
But if you do pull it off, it's a crazy good tempo turn. But even if you can't, you're not super sad about a 7-mana 7/7. That's kind of the baseline for 7-mana minions. So yeah, it's good design. Like, it's not horrible if you don't get the activation, but if you do, it's really good.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So up next from Overlord CHS, he said that he specifically made this card for me, and I like it a lot. So you nailed it. It's called Ariu the Lifebringer. It's a 9-mana 4/10 legendary priest dragon that has start of the game. If your deck only has odd cost cards, set your maximum health to 40. So you know, the same kind of an effect as Baku with the start of game. Starting with 10 more health, it's not that crazy. You know, what's crazy is healing to full, like you were saying earlier. Like comparing this to the quest and getting Amara and resetting your health to 40 after you've been beaten down. Then you know, that extra 10 health at the start of the game is, you know, it's not like a make or break.
For the most part, with you know, that's really only throwing a wrench in aggro's plans, and most of the time as aggro, you can get that extra push. So and you know, it's obviously limiting the deck building format, so the deck might be a little weaker initially, or not initially, just overall. But you do get that little bonus health, and it's not a bad minion for 9 mana. Oh, he's not taunt. I just assumed he was taunt.
Yeah, I kind of wish he had taunt too, but like I don't know if that would be too nuts. But he might just be really bad late, you know. So maybe taunt, just that, you know, so he contributes even more to that like survival plan.
Yeah, maybe taunt and like bring down the health a little bit,
like a 4/8 or something.
Well, I don't know. Sleeping Dragon's what, a 9 mana 4/12?
Yeah. So maybe 4/10's fine because it has the additional ability on it.
Yeah. No, this is a really well designed card. This is definitely one of my favorites from the submissions this time. Yeah,
definitely like it a lot. All right, up next from Eorikos, we have his it's called Worthy Disciple, and it's the flavors derived from Kazakis, of course. Who's, when you play him, he says, "At last, a worthy disciple."
Yes.
So it's a warlock. It's an epic warlock demon. That's a 5-mana 3/3 battle cry. If your deck only has odd cost cards, add a random 5-drop Kazakis potion to your hand. I think there's I like the effect, but I think there's probably just like a better way to word it. Just like his own potion pool, even if they're the same thing as Kazakis potions. Just like add a 5-mana demonic potion, and you know it does certain things like that. Just just to clean up the wording a little bit. But I like it because...
But Kazakus potions are called Kazakus potion, aren't they?
They are, but I don't think any other card in the game other than Kazakus should make them, is what I'm saying. So, like, he should just have his own pool, like a worthy disciple potion pool, you know?
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
So,
yeah.
you know, it can have one of, like, something like, you know, 5 to 6 different, like, effects, like, affixes on them or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I like the idea. You know, it's definitely not a tempo card at all. 5 mana 3/3 is pretty bad, but you're giving yourself something that you can do on the following turn in addition to your, you know, on your turn 7 with like your upgraded hero power, or on your missed turn 6 where you don't have anything to do. So.
Yeah, I think I would like to see this go down to 4 mana, and its stats could even be reduced. But being able to play that potion on the next turn, on turn 5, like on curve, I think that's where the money's at.
Wait, you said what though?
Make it like 4 mana.
It can't be because it's got to be odd cost.
Oh, yep. You're right.
So
you get a little bit of a little off curve with your potion, but still, that's.
Yeah,
it's good. I really like this idea and this design. So.
Definitely, yeah,
good stuff.
It's a good idea. Up next from Elecman24, this is one of the more interesting ones, I think. It's called Sneaky Rat, and it's a 2 mana 2/3 beast for Rogue, which it has Battle Cry. If your deck has only even cost cards, silence a random minion in your opponent's hand. This is really unique, something we haven't seen before. I'm assuming this would cancel battle cries. A silenced battle cry minion would do nothing. Sure. And it's combo disruption that's way more safe than Dirty Rat, right?
Yeah.
So the difference is, like, you Dirty Rat out your opponent's Archmage Antonitis, and, like, you know, if you don't have something to kill them right away, you haven't really messed them up that bad. Like, you may have messed them up for a later turn or something, but you silence your opponent's Archmage Antonitis in their hand.
Yeah.
That's just
or,
basically
silence their Lackey, their Void Lord, their Cube. I like it for that reason, but, like, there are too many targets in Cube Lock to where this is even actually going to matter. Like, you might nail one, or you might not, but I do really, really like this design and this idea. This is really cool. We've never seen anything like this in Hearthstone or in the card creation challenge. So, this one's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I feel that way when I'm playing Control Mage, and I'm like, at least I have polymorphs in my deck. But, like, there's literally too many polymorph targets for it to matter against Cube Lock. Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but this is just such effective combo disruption. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
like,
and it is only Rogue, so not everyone can tech this in.
It's gonna hit a good target because people don't play vanilla minions in Constructed.
It's true.
So it's gonna do something no matter what. And then last up from Dougie Fresh, we have Brutalus, which is a way to try to piece together something that might be missing from this Shaman even cost deck. He's a 6 mana 5/5 demon that has Taunt and Battle Cry. If your deck contains only even cost cards, give your other minions +3 attack. I think this might be slightly just too good. But basically, the problem that I'm seeing with this whole discounted totems shaman is that they don't have access to their main swarm deck win condition, which is Bloodlust, which is what Brutalis is fixing. You only get what he was it's balanced because it's legendary and you only get 1 copy, whereas you used to be able to run 2 copies of Bloodlust. And I get that. But there's almost no drawback whatsoever to this card. It's decently statted. It even has Taunt on top of, it's a little understatted for a 6-drop, but that effect is so nuts, and it's permanent. So.
Yeah, I don't know if he actually meant for it to be only until end of turn or not.
No, he said, I believe he said that it was intended to be permanent. So
yeah, I think this is a bit too strong. I think maybe you'd want to either bring down his power and toughness or bring up his mana cost. Because I like the idea a lot of giving even cost shaman a Bloodlust option.
Yes.
I also like that it is Brutalis, a raid boss from Black Temple.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked that. I saw that right away. Because that was one of the first things I thought of. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna swarm, but ooh, no bloodlust because it's 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get where you're coming from with that one. I saw right away what you were trying to do there. And then
that's a good one.
So that was our 6. That was our 6 from submissions that we picked. There were some other ones that were really cool. And I think we have some time to hang out after the show tonight if you're live with us to talk about why we didn't pick some of the other ones. That's something new that we're kind of doing. It's also, I just wanted to mention that if anybody would like to tweet us, reply to your submission, if you don't get to hang out with us live and you still want to chat about why we didn't pick your specific card, just tweet us, reply to your initial card and we'll get back to you. But moving on, Dookie, yours is up next.
So this guy, I always try to go into the lore. So I looked up some NPCs that hang out around, oh God, what is the Worgen city called?
Gilneas.
Gilneas. Yeah. And there's a low-level quest elite monster that you have to deal with if you play as a Worgen. And he's called Koroth the Hillbreaker. And he's an Etten, which is one of those it's not a 2-headed ogre. It's they're brown, hunchback 2-headed ogre things. It's weird. So he is a 6-mana 6/6 with Battlecry. If your deck has only even cost cards, summon 2/2/2 ogres. So kind of balanced it around Dr. Boom. He's still probably not as good as Dr. Boom.
Yeah, the boom bots were just so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the boom bots are all at least packing 2 damage, if not more. So 2/2 ogres is as good, if not worse. Basically, yeah, you have to build around having only even cards. It's not a super complicated entry or anything, but I thought it was just kind of a solid activation, kind of showing if you don't get it, it's just an okay minion, but if you do get it, it's really good.
Yeah,
but not OP. So
right. Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's definitely going to be the kind of card that even cost decks are going to want, is just to continue to pressure. Just use that discounted hero power and those cheaper minions and just keep going. So. And
he does have a little posse of ogres in the game.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
that's fine. Yeah, that's why I summoned
the lore flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I like it, and that's cool art too. It's weird that Koroth would have such good art.
He doesn't. I just googled Etten, and I think that is a D&D Etten. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Nice. And lastly, here's mine. It's called Benedictus the Mad, which is a 7-mana 4/6 priest legendary. His battlecry says, if your deck has only odd cost cards, shuffle both players' decks together and redistribute them evenly. And in the event that there's one extra card or whatever, it would go with it on your deck, but that's just way too much shit to put on a card.
Yeah.
So basically, obviously I use the Benedictus card that already exists to derive the idea behind the ability. And my idea for it, the reason why would you want to do this is because the main reason you want to run an odd cost deck is to get the start of game effect from Baku, right? That's pretty much why you're doing it, especially since now we know the only odd cost support priest is getting is bad, which is the Glitter Moth, or at least we think it's going to be bad.
Yeah, yes.
And
predicted that it's going to be bad.
And so basically this is a way to kind of try to fix your deck. You kind of, unless you're playing another odd cost deck or whatever, shuffling the 2 decks together and getting some access to some even cards that pop out of your opponent's deck doesn't mean that your hero power is now downgraded. You still have the upgraded hero power. So that's kind of the thought process behind it. Plus, if you shuffle odd cost synergy stuff into your opponent's deck, or a bunch of weird cards into your opponent's deck, then you're just screwing over their game plan as well.
Yeah.
So
I definitely like the idea. I don't think his stats should be as shitty as Benedictus's were, though. So? No, because I don't know. It's a build around card. You have to have only odd cost. It might not even screw your opponent over that much. It might screw you over a lot. It could.
Yeah.
and I don't know, like I just don't see it being powerful enough to justify being such a weak minion on 7 mana. I feel like he should be, because like I don't know. I mean, Benedictus is obviously just bad, so I see. I mean, and you were going off of his stats, so if he's a bad card, then doesn't make this a bad card. But
Right.
I mean, I love the effect. I think that's super clever. Like, you got your activation from Baku, and then you're like, all right, fuck this odd thing. Let me get some other cards in here.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you know, it's
then
not a guaranteed
potentially-
win condition, and like you could like purposely
No.
make your deck shitty to like try to screw over your opponent, but then you have a shitty deck, and like if you don't get Benedictus, you know.
Yeah, I feel like he should. I don't know. He could be a 6/7 or a 7/7 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's
'Cause
going
the effect
crazy. He's got more power.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's,
no,
that's
I really
good
like
feedback.
the
That's good feedback.
effect. Yeah.
Right on. So that was our odd even challenge. Did we only have one even? No, we had two. We had 2 even cards, and the rest were. We
Yeah.
had 3. Sorry, we had 3 even cards.
Okay, so that's half.
So
Cool.
yeah, that actually worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah.
So I think that about does it for the show, though. For this week, kind of amazing that we even had anything to talk about, but it was it's just kind of a last minute idea. I hope you guys really enjoyed the the review of the review as much as we did.
The Mammoth review.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good. It'll be fun to do again next year.
Yes, when we're bound to screw up starting next week. All the card
Yep.
reviews. So
next week we can start whiffing.
Definitely excited about that. Tune into the live stream of the card dump if you can, and then we'll have a couple days to digest that and be back on Thursday to talk about some cards. So
That's right.
all right.
So next week's card creation challenge.
Oh yes, that's right. Let's not forget that.
Yep. So it is my turn to pose a challenge, and let's just do before. Well, we are going to see some Witchwood
we're going to see a
cards
bunch of
for the
cards
next show.
dumped.
But in the spirit of your challenge, let's just extend that. Make a card with a new Witchwood ability. So it could be Rush, it could be Echo. You could do Odd Even again if you want, or you could do the ability where they switch power and toughness, attack and health every turn.
Oh yeah, it's not keyworded, but it's like the
Not keyworded.
organ ability, like it's shifting its stats in your hand or whatever.
So yeah, make a card with one of the new Witchwood abilities, and that's really the only parameter aside from our usual parameters. Only spawn 2 other cards. Keep it simple. Keep it balanced. Keep it interesting.
Yes.
So.
So you want to tell them where they can find you, Dookie?
I sure do. You guys can give us a follow on Twitter at Salty Dog Podcast, or you can follow us individually at Dookie Shed or at Clash_HS, KLASHE, is how you spell Clash. You can check us out on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on this channel and on my channel, twitch.tv/Dookie Shed. On Tuesdays, we stream random stuff. Lately, we've been streaming Orcs Must Die, and it's been a ton of fun. Sometimes we do Hearthstone. Sometimes we do other stuff. So that's always a fun time. And if you could give us good ratings wherever you watch or listen, be it the VODs or iTunes or wherever we are, we would very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. And refer all of your friends and your sisters and your mothers and everyone. Just have everyone listen to us.
Especially your mothers.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We will see you next week. Till then, stay salty.
Stay salty.